Hello everybody, and welcome to tonight's coverage of what is the preparation for one of the biggest races of the year. This is the recruitment race for the 2025 Saturday for the boys, here once again from iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway here on Maconi Entertainment. Maconi Entertainment is here to bring you action from all types of racing, including this series, the FLCC, Fast Fridays, many other events, all a part of the coverage here on the network. No matter what you're racing, we can bring the action to life. My name's Justin Prince, alongside Ewan O'Leary. Howie Burrows is our producer for this evening's coverage as we get ready to see just how these drivers prepare for tomorrow's big race, where hundreds of dollars is on the line, but better yet, hundreds, in fact thousands more, are raised for good cause. But it all comes through Daytona International Speedway, Ewan. Super speedway racing at its finest.
Absolutely. It's not quite the time of year yet to get excited about Daytona, but who can blame us for starting a little bit early? Famous 2.5 mile racetrack, of course. It's provided so many big races, entertaining races, big moments in the past, and it's going to do so for us all over again this weekend, of course. Live here on the Friday, but perhaps more importantly, live for twice the length tomorrow for the big event. This is very much the precursor about that to whet the appetite before tomorrow.
Absolutely. Remember, you can still join the event. It's set for 8 p.m. tomorrow. There is an LCQ prior to that, so make sure to get in early. Sign up at MaconiSetupShop.com/Movember. Once again, this benefits Movember. It comes to the charity side of things. This year already $700 raised, and more than $8,000 have been raised over the past 5 years of this event. And you do have to donate to be able to enter. Minimum $10 donation to be able to take the green flag in this event. It's going to be an interesting one, to say the very least, especially as well with the prizes on the line. Once again, $150 going to the winner of that, with a custom trophy going along with it. Prizes all the way down to the top 10. But first things first, a lot of the drivers that potentially may be looking to race tomorrow night, they want to see how they fare out against their competition. We have 45 people qualifying at the moment for a recruitment race.
Yeah, it's quite a good show, isn't it, of just what we might see tomorrow as well. But yeah, it's a massive, massive field here tonight. I see Jeff, one of them, in qualifying at the moment. But it's going to be so interesting to see how they race each other. And, you know, you always fear at super speedway races that it's all going to be very, very difficult to sort of get anything going, get a green flag run going, really. But I'm not sure whether that will be the case tonight or not. As I say, it's going to be very interesting to sort of find out along the way. And the early laps may well be a bit of a sign of that as well. But with so many people around, I think tonight, for maybe above all, is going to be a little bit about feeling around the traffic around you and seeing how you deal with it effectively, because it is going to be quite something to deal with over the course of tonight to properly get used to the the amount of cars that you're going to have around you at throughout the whole of tonight's race.
Absolutely, and you have, it's going to be a mixture of different drivers here that are going to have those opportunities just to be able to learn here tonight. Tonight is top 36, by the way. Tomorrow, there are provisionals to keep in mind when it comes to the racing event. Those details we'll share a bit tomorrow in terms of how the breakdown will be. Quite simply, it is a 36-car field, but 25 alone for qualifying. Good on through. Still keep an eye on some of the drivers as they roll. Most of the drivers have put up qualifying times to be able to try and make the cut. The bar to get into the race, a 51.051 in these trucks. Well, the cut line just got set as 45 drivers did take times in this session, but some of the drivers were not able to make the cut line for tonight. So these drivers will get sorted for the next few minutes here before tonight. Some of the drivers taking part in this race of note here, though, Ewan, are some familiar names to these events, like Brennan Argenio. He's your pole sitter, in fact, with Chris Tripp in second. Jeremy Briggs will start in third with Joseph Tucker, 22 1,000 off and 4 for the ESE car. Tom Bone will start off in the 5th position. Justin Johnson makes an appearance in the 6th spot. Then it's Jeff Maconi making an appearance tonight, alongside Aiden Howard with 2 A's. Then Dan LaBelle will start alongside Alex Hallinar in your top 10.
Sebastian Taylor, the first driver outside of the top 10, still within a half-tenth of pole, with Charles Fletcher alongside in 12th. Then it's Ron Sommer and Brock Piper who share row 7. Same time, down to the 1,000th for them. Kevin Stone and Billy Rickett. Then on row 8, and Casey Soech and Tyler Cheney, who is on row 9. And then to round out the top 20, Casey Pruitt and Jake Champion in 20th.
21st goes the way to Benjamin Elliott with Carter Casey. 22nd, Kenny Taylor, 23rd. Gary Flynn down in 24th. That's where the 51 start. Troy DeMay will start in 25th alongside Michael Winter. Then Anthony Serino will start alongside Blake Dorney. Guy Barrett, 29th, and Brett Tyson, 30th. That leaves a couple more drivers above the cut line for tonight. And Jacob Dawson, Richie Yost, Colin Sylvia, should say, along with David Weir, David Motes, and David Hutto will get inside the top 36. Everybody else is sent home for tonight. Among some of the drivers that did not make the cut of note, Dylan Dryling had been a part of the practice session, as well as a few others that looked to try and make the show but did not. So, drivers get in their final moments of preparation, and before we get moved on here, Ewan, what are some of your keys when it comes to a race like this tonight, especially knowing this is the fun race? It's essentially half the distance to tomorrow.
Yeah, and normally, and that makes it quite a short race as well, by the way. Normally in these races, to be honest, even to be fair, in quite short races, I actually generally advocate for hanging around at the back initially at super speedway races. I think there's so likely these days to be a massive crash, whether that be well, sometimes in the real world, it's actually more likely than in the sim these days. And therefore, you can almost, and there you go. Sometimes I think, and most times, you can bank on there being one. And so if you're at the back, and I'm not talking about running sort of like nearly last. That is the danger zone as far as I'm concerned. But properly last and hanging almost a car length or so off the back of the field and being able to react to it a lot easier than that. You'd be surprised how much you can avoid by hanging out of there. Then once that has happened, you'll gain lots of places just by avoiding it. You might gain some places by staying out because you've saved a bit of fuel back there as well. And suddenly you find yourself, yes, in the midfield for a little bit when it starts to get to crunch time later. But at some stage, you do have to take the risk. I think you're much better off hanging around at the back initially and at least getting to that stage of the race where you can go out and win it. And then maybe you can get caught up in something, whatever. But at least you're giving yourself the chance. So maybe in a short race like that, it doesn't quite work. But I do generally advocate for hanging around at the back because you just know there is going to be a big crash at some point.
Absolutely. Remember tonight, 50 laps to distance, fast repair available, unlimited tire sets as mentioned. So those are going to be the major things to consider for tonight in this one, as the field is now gritting up behind the iRacing pace car for tonight's festivities. Drivers have been informed it's automatic cautions. Yes, we have cautions. This is Daytona, to answer anyone watching who is on track. So, any names that pop up to you tonight, or is this going to be just one of those races where the unexpected could happen? Where do you see this falling in terms of some of the potential contenders?
Yeah, I think it is going to be unpredictable. First of all, it is a super speedway race. So normal convention goes out the window a little bit, but just some names who regularly featured on Maconi Entertainment in the past and done rather well, like Jeremy Briggs and Joseph Tucker on row 2 together have generally done quite well in broadcasts I've done. Anyway, Jeff Maconi obviously himself is starting in 7th place, so will be one to watch for sure. I do actually know Anthony Serino as well, though I've never seen him do an oval race, so I've got no insight to give there. But as you say, it's so unpredictable at super speedways that sometimes, very often times, in fact, on a super speedway race, the best driver doesn't win. So maybe hand-picking the best drivers pre-race is not necessarily the best way to go out and choose the winner. However, it is notable that those guys who generally do well in these, when we're broadcasting these guys, they have qualified up towards the front, even though, as I say, when it comes to race time, that will matter a lot less.
Absolutely. We'll have to see how these drivers play out tonight. They look to have a little bit of fun. Remember, it's all is raising money for Movember, which every year, Maconi Entertainment, part of this coverage that basically raises money to bring awareness to men's mental health. Prostate cancer and other different causes is what Movember raises money for. It's all about funding the impact the men's health both locally and globally to invest in country and culture-specific health projects while collaborating, as the site says, on game-changing solutions that address men's health on a global scale. If you want to donate, you can go specifically to MaconiSunshop.com/Movember. That's also where you can sign up. There is a button which will then draw you over to the donation page to benefit Movember. If you do want to race in tomorrow's event, a donation of $10 is the minimum to be able to take part. It should be a fun time once again. Just to remind folks of the cause before we take the green flag tonight. But the field is getting all set to go for tonight. Remember, all donations given to Movember do go directly to Movember. It is not just straight through Maconi. The website has the link. But the field is ready for its recruitment race. Saturday for the boys is underway. Its recruitment race is underway from Daytona. One driver moving to the back there as the rest of the field makes its way through. Jeff Maconi making a 3 wide, blending into the back of the field. Front of the field, doing front of the field things. Chris Tripp is the one who's at the front of the truck. That's followed by Joseph Tucker. Then you also have Justin Johnson, Brendan Argenio all lined up on the bottom. They're 1, 2, 3, 4. As Argenio moves up to the outside, looking to try and get some help now from Aiden Howard.
Yeah, interesting start from Argenio. Didn't really go anywhere on the inside line, which is generally favoured, especially at the beginning. But the outside got a run. Because I don't know what was going on for the 88, but maybe just wasn't getting the help. Look at that, a block as well. I think from Johnson as he tries to take the... No, not him, excuse me, it's Tucker who's coming to try and take the lead.
Yep, wants to control the pack here. Remember, with this race distance tonight, it is, in theory, going to be a one-stop race on the gas. Pit stop start around 25, can make it around 30, 35 at the very most. So for now, you can quite simply just go battle mode, so to speak here. You can spar out a little bit, situate yourself. You have to be able to tandem, though, if you want to get to the front in a lot of cases, which is why the outside's got the advantage.
Now, I do suspect that we are going to see pit stops happening under caution, unfortunately, rather than under green, but it'd be great to see a green flag cycle of stops at some point in this race, but you can already see the intensity at the front of the group. Hard to see us going the 30 or 35 laps required for us to get a proper cycle of green flag stops without us seeing a caution here at the moment.
See some of the drivers having a hard time holding the yellow line right now in the corners. There is a little bit of sway you can have around here, and some of the drivers are already telling others, be careful here. That's because this truck can get a little bit floaty if you aren't careful with the steering wheel. Some of the drivers were talking about that in practice tonight. Justin Johnson, Navansto swaying a fair bit of the corner. Same for the 58 right now of Helmnar up at the top.
It's really packed up at the front of the field at the moment. A lot of energy in this front group, but so far staying too wide. You could just get the sense that there's the beginnings of a 3 wide moment happening further back there. And Jeff Maconi, you can see regularly pulling down there to get out of the way of it all.
Yeah, try to stay out of the troubles, try to stay out of chaos is what you could say. We have one to the wall. It's the 94 truck. Sereno just bounced off the wall back there. See him up the top line. It's 3 wide for the race lead, though. Up on the bottom, Tucker, Argenio, and Tripp going side by side. Tripp forces his way to the inside, and that forces Argenio to the back with no one else willing to work with him and putting Argenio in the wall.
Oh, it's close as they're all filing past. Pretty tight, 3 wide at Daytona. Oh, and he's forced his way in almost by accident there. Again, there's more drivers pulling down to the apron again just to try and stay out of this. They resolved that 3 wide moment well in the end, but that was a legacy of Tucker trying to block both lines, and the guy on the outside, Argenio, wasn't having any of it.
It's one of the drivers, remember, that has plenty of experience in his races, actually races with Folsom Lake College in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. We have a wreck in the back of the field. Someone swerves up into the pack. Chaos is out as David Wiramonsto spinning. We're under yellow. Guy Barrett is around. Several others slide. And we're under caution for the first time, and it comes on lap 6.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It had been bubbling up, certainly. As I said, the energy in the group was just continuing to get out of control. Eventually it happens. I mean, they initially spare that, so there's the initial contact, and then they spin to the inside here, these guys, but they flick back the other way, and as a car comes back out onto the circuit, you're always going to get collected by somebody. In the end, it's only a 2-truck crash, actually, which is good news for the field. Not many damaged, but it was always going to happen. The energy in the group was just getting too much at the front.
Casey Staunton was amongst those in contact. There was some error between him and the 94. That was a part of the spark, absolutely. Everything after that, check-up effect. And chaos reigns. We are in quickie caution format here tonight at Daytona. Keep in mind, the field will work as quick as possible to get things stacked up. There's Sereno that had went to the wall first. He's got right side damage. See everyone else able to get by him cleanly after he nearly got spun around for the truck caution trigger itself.
Yeah, I wonder whether that was, well, it looked like a bit of netcode really that was going on there. And very nearly spun Sereno in front of the field, and it has a little bit of damage, but certainly not as bad as it could have been. I believe the pits are open this time round, although I'd be kind of surprised if anybody decides to come in. Oh, well.
Well, fuel. Hey, it's gas. Less gas if you have to take a green flag stop, less opportunity to be able to leave lapped if you take a green flag stop. So a good third of the field likes to take the fuel and sacrifice track position, let the field have chaos reign. So Hallinar takes the lead over Tripp, Fletcher, Johnson, Argenio, Ron Sommer, should say, Cheney, and Pruitt. What's your top 8? Interesting start to this one so far. Not expecting 3x3 to say the very least, you'd have to think, Ewan, but the tone's been set. The outside's got a lot of momentum going if you get the numbers there, it seems. You can, if you get 2 trucks hooked up and then a couple drivers behind you, that outside just steamrolls the bottom down the straight.
Yeah, I think we are going to see quite a bit more 3 wide throughout the race, to be honest with you, because the impatience is there. We've already seen that, but unfortunately here there's not really, well, there is just about space for it, but I'm afraid in sim racing, especially in our racing, doesn't really work 3 wide at Daytona. Easily fits at Talladega, but while it's a lot easier to manage in real life, it's quite hard to do in our racing, really, with all the sort of vagaries that online racing presents. Means that 3 wide moments aren't quite so possible, but it's something we're going to continue to see throughout, and those runs sort of getting together, if you like, in these trucks, just so powerful, so difficult to block. We saw Tucker at the front at one stage trying to actually just keep both lines sort of in behind him and manage them both by managing the front, but yeah, it's going to be very difficult to do that as well.
For these drivers going to be racing tomorrow, sign up at MaconiSimShop.com/Movember. Donation $10 goes directly to Movember. This event, after all, does benefit Movember. There's also race prizes available for your top 10. The winner itself getting $150, 100 a second, $75 to third, $50 for a top 4. You get a top 5, you get $25, and you basically double, including the donation, $20 for the top 10 trophy to top 1 as well. So the field getting stacked up and doubled up, getting ready for a restart. It ended up being about half the field after things equalized out that ended up at least taking a stop down pit road, a lot of them for damage repair and or for tires, keeping it simple. And now it's going to be the question, how does Tony is going to be here? We've talked about how 3 wide is going to be something that could happen, but going to be probably difficult. We'll see how chaotic things get off this restart, especially with some of the drivers up here willing to push the envelope and really be risky with some of the moves with some of the experience they have compared to some of the others.
Yeah, and you know, it's such a short race. I mean, there's only 42 to go already in this restart. There just hasn't been that time in the race because we've seen it straight from the gun, really. There's no time for waiting around in this race at all, and they haven't been waiting around at all. That's going to continue on only. Again, I would expect more 3 wide moments on this restart, but again, it's going to be a race lead initially for Alex Helena, but after that, you do wonder what's going to happen. Everybody down from 14th place on backwards has either been involved in accidents so far or has been into the pit lane already to top off on fuel, and as you say, some of them taken all 4 tyres as well. But this restart, I'd imagine, it's going to be very, very similar to the one that we've just seen.
So, 42 to go as mentioned. There's your restart grid in the bottom right corner of your screen. Once your top 8 once again ready to roll. All of them staying out. Top 13 did after all. Green flags back out. Field rolls once again. Bernard gets himself the advantage up in front. See if that's a little bit too big or not, because there's already a big gap. It's closing fast for the outside, building momentum.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that sort of a gap, and hello, saw it coming. Oh, it's been pushed up to the top, and there's going to be a crash. Oh, wow, that was close. Super close. These guys at the front really want to lead, and the guys who have already stopped want to get up to the front as quickly as possible.
Contact with the wall there for the outside line. They were pushing so hard to try and clear, but it's Charles Fletcher on the inside in the Coast Guard machine, who takes the edge with Eugenio on the help. There's some of the 3 wide, though, building up. Johnson forcing the issue. Some of the others in the mid-pack forcing the issue as well, as a lot of these drivers forcing Tripp out of the pack as a result of the early shuffle. Eugenio is not playing any games. If he races like this tomorrow, he could be checkers or wreckers, but also be a threat for the race.
Well, absolutely, and it is sort of making good on that first start of the race, the initial start of the race where he really went backwards. Is now being aggressive on this first restart and working his way up towards the front of the field. But the outside is looking resurgent here. There on the outside goes Tyler Cheney in the 54 car, up 16 places already to the lead.
Yeah, already seen a lot of big movers. That's what we usually see with these super speedway races. If you're talented, you can make your way to the front. It's just that talent usually rises to the top. A little bit of a bad push there at the trial for some. So like everyone else stabilizing out here after the quick shuffle. Talking about some of the errors right now. How about Piper? He's trying to ride the bottom right now. The Piper Automation Technology LLC machine tries to work itself forward. So far, up only 5, but is trying to hold on to a 3 wide with some of those who pit next to him.
Yeah, and thankfully for us, the 3 wide's a bit further down the field, but it's very, very difficult to maintain. The 90 car up on the wall, and when they get a bit of a slide there and come down so sharply, as Tripp did there, you do worry a little bit, and he's trying to get into line and does push his way into line into the top side, and that is probably a good thing for him. Maybe a good thing for the outside line as well, a bit more momentum, maybe, but clearly does want to go up high here and create a third lane. Just doesn't have anybody willing to go with him at the moment.
Yeah, nobody willing to force the issue with some of the close call racing we've seen, but we do see some drivers willing to push it for the lead. How about Cheney going 3 wide? He didn't like the move from Eugenio. He's got help from Yost. Richie Yost gives the assistance, but they aren't able to clear themselves as Eugenio keeps it up the middle. This is where you have to be careful. Look at some of these squeezes. Offset pushes are a disaster also. Yost is pushing off the left front.
It seems to me it's not always even intentional squeezing. It's just the narrowness of this circuit and also not quite realising where you are, which can be a bit of a problem. Still, Helena's stuck in the middle here, leaning on the top side, feeling maybe that's a little bit safer, but 3 wide has really been only narrowed now to 1 row. If you get caught up on the very high side, though, you're going to go backwards very quickly.
The front rows are able to get out of it. Car driver for Riverhead, we have contact up the track. Yost pushed in the wall. Tripp just avoided getting hard contact, and they all survive. That was a violent smack to the right for the 47 in session, but the leaders are again scrambling 3 wide. Hallinar continues to work now on his own, while others try and run the wall. Absolutely aggressive racing, to say the very least. The majority of those who pit have yet to even find their way up front. They're just letting the pack roll it out here, Ewan, compared to just keeping it calm, just forcing it like we're seeing some of the others.
Yeah, and I don't really understand it, to be honest. I know they've got a faster pair, but you can totally see what's going to happen here if you get involved in all this. And so if you want to win, I think you'd rather be hanging around at the back at the moment, as a lot of guys are doing. If you actually look to the very back of this field, there it is all the way back there. They're giving themselves a lot of room, and they are all single file. Was that car on the fence? It was, coming to the tri-oval.
Caution flag is out. Jeff Maconi amongst those around. Rickett involved. Several others slammed through. And we're under caution once again. That all sparked up, though, from Tripp having contact with Howard. That was out of turn 4. They gripped together, and after that, a lot of scrambling through the grass.
I thought it was always going to happen. I'm surprised it was so far down the group, actually. The front guys absolutely got away with that and weren't involved at all, but I think Jeff will be feeling a bit disappointed about getting caught up in it, because actually he's been one of the drivers who's been most obviously trying to stay out of trouble, especially on that actual start of the race where he was going onto the apron on the backstretch to try and sort of move down the group. Now, I'm not sure that's entirely the best idea, because at some stage you do actually have to rejoin, but this is the dangers of doing what I was talking about, because you can get caught up. If the guy behind you doesn't slow up as much as you do, you can get punted around pretty quickly. Thankfully, I don't think the damage will be that bad for him, really.
I think it's more so the slam into the 7 truck on track. That was the big concern, at least to me. But there's what the spark was. Right there out of turn 4, the grip and the contact. Tripp sent right down pit road.
Oh yeah, that's that's speeding in the pit lane, isn't it? That's a penalty that needs to be cleared and will be. So this is, I said before, this is last caution where I was surprised everybody so many people pitted. This one I'm much less surprised, because there's only 35 to go now, which you could argue you could feel save you way under a whole green flag run to make it anyway, but certainly with a bit more caution, which we might get a bit later. And of course, because we're not going green with 35 to go, definitely, I think, in my opinion, this is the moment to come in and take the fuel you need to get to the end.
I think they'll need an extra caution just in case, because I think it's more so towards 32 than it is 35. 35 with heavy saving might be a potential possibility. We've seen at Dega drivers go 30 before, hence the benchmark. So we'll find out how some of the drivers do it. Only 4 yet to take a pit stop this entire race, though. Fletcher, Hallinar, Pruitt, and Johnson are all of the drivers that are risking it for track position. Also staying out there are Dawson and Barrett. Everybody else came down, a vast majority taking the fuel only or 2 tires, since we've only ran about 15-16 laps. Keep in mind, the way the tires are, you might start sliding around at the back end of the race if you don't take the sets, but it's not major or massive concern here, to say the least. But we get ready for a restart in about a lap and a half's time here, and it's been a bit wild once again. It's going to be interesting how Eugenio pushes his way back into the front again. He was the first on pit road.
Yeah, was on that previous restart pretty aggressive as far as working his way through to get back to the front is concerned. Not overly so, and obviously effectively just returning back to the front because the initial start of this race was at the front as well. But we will see with all the others who have pitted as well on that occasion. But you notice that most of those who came in under the first caution had to come in again there, so that's why I would question coming in under the first caution. I know you don't want to be caught out with a really long green flag run and then suddenly you have to do a green flag stop and leave a lot of people out there still not having to do that. But I do think that they should really, in a 50-lap race, should be trying to reduce this to a one-stop race. And the best way to do that was to pit on lap 15 under that caution. And now that's where we are in this race with, what would it be, 33 to go only when we go back green. It's really not a long time in this race.
Yeah, but this is going to be an interesting one the rest of the way. These drivers getting some different things being notified for tonight. Keep in mind, custom fix setup, believe, for tonight. So that's been something the drivers have actually been told it's a little bit different than the normal fix on iRacing, where with the way the setup is here for tonight, there is a bit of scrape at the side skirts. So there is the potential of side damage that they're discussing here. That might not be damage. The drivers being told, do not worry about it. Some of these drivers, remember, they have to keep the truck as low as possible in some cases, try and maximize the way the downforce balances. Get that wake really balanced is the key thing. And in some cases, the side skirts are being considered just that little bit of push out to try and find that extra bit of balance and speed and stability for the set.
I think it's interesting that, again, the front four haven't stopped at all yet. So we've got Helena and Fletcher both at the front again here for a secondary stop there, spending towards the front. But again, I just hope from this field we see a little bit more calm at the front, to be honest, because clearly some of those in this race are minded to be calmish in this opening part. But we've already lost one driver from this race. I'm sure many others have had to use their fast repair already. A little bit more calm would probably go a long way in this race to for better results for some of them.
33 laps to go. Going to be tight on fuel for many. Green flag is out, and Hallinar trying to jump from the outside. Black flag, Hallinar, he jumped it too hard here. And now we'll have to see what happens as Johnson stays on his bumper. 58 likely will have to come down. We'll see if he's able to convince race control to clear or not, because he did jump it clearly.
Yeah, and he's going to have quite a big problem actually getting down to serve the penalty as well. I know he's got a few laps, but there's no gap there, and there won't be one at the bottom. I think he's trying to usher them through the middle, maybe. I'm not sure how he's going to do this. The front three have got a bit of a separation, but as soon as that happens, someone from the top side comes in and fills that gap. So I'm not sure how he's actually going to get to the low line in time to serve his penalty on the green.
We'll have this time through 2 laps. Right now, the field playing a little bit more timid now with the fuel situation, at least for now, as everyone just rolls around, tries to situate themselves as far as possible. Hallinar still has not backed out yet from his battle, as that's going to open things up for Tucker. Look at Tucker. He wants the lead. He wants it now.
I'm not sure he quite realises Heller's got a black flag, although he's given a very good push for a driver who's going to be removed from this in a moment. Very good push on the backstretch. Oh, perhaps even too good. Contact! He's in the wall!
Into the wall goes Hallinar, stacking up the outside. Caution is out. He ends up running Johnson with them. And could see that coming. Hallinar being very aggressive. And well, aggressive goes around, the saying goes.
Well, yeah, you can see, oh dear, that's a big impact for the 5. And again, it's over-aggression at the front of the field. There's just a slight missing of the low line here on this car on the inside of Helena. He just gets into the... And to be fair, Hellner maybe not giving enough space, but, you know, give quite a lot of space there. If you're on the low side, for me, you've got to be tracking that double yellow line at the bottom, and I'm afraid that car on the inside wasn't. And it's created another few drivers to have to use their faster pairs here. And again, I go back to our previous points. The guys at the back survive again by slowing down in time and avoiding the crash, and they're not involved in all this at the front.
And I'll start with this, remember, off the restart. Watch right here. It's off the leader's control. It's the leader's choice to hit the gas first. Al&R obviously jumped ahead of the leader. You cannot be in front of the leader by that bumper when they then hit the gas for the trigger. You do that, you get an instant black flag. In official races, it's a quick call. You see this right here. He was ahead by about just a tire. That's enough to cause the trigger. And that is why he has black flag still in session. The incident just compounds on top of that with the same two who are on the outside making the jump. But with this caution, if you start saving now, you should be able to start making it here. It is going to be a 1 to green situation, Hurling Race Control. They're going to try and quickie these cautions, Ewan. This is what we do usually in these races, is we do see the caution speed up, and a lot of people are taking the opportunity at least to try and take the fast repair before we get to the restart.
Yeah, and you're going to have to, if we're going to quicken these cautions now. There's not the extra lap, if you like, for you to spend a minute or two in pit lane and then get back around to the back of the field, not using your fast pair, sparing it for later. You're going to have to use it because you have to get back round to this group in time for the restart, which is coming up very soon.
Remember, if you want to be able to sign up, the race is tomorrow, 8 p.m. start for the race itself. $500 in prizes are on the line, including $150 for the winner, and a custom 1 meter trophy going to said winner. To sign up, go to the link on screen, MaconiSetupShop.com/Movember. And from there, you can register. It's a minimum $10 donation that goes to Movember to be able to take the start. Donate as much as you want, remember, keep in mind, all the donations 100% go straight to Movember, a part of their efforts to raise money, once again, to bring awareness to men's health, to be able to address men's health on a global scale. So the field getting set for the restart. It's Tucker up in front. It's Fletcher alongside. Pruitt and Cheney the top four. Rickett and Piper are up there as well. Gino, Yost, Elliott. Amongst some of the drivers that are ready to restart amongst your top 9. We still have, in this race, 31 drivers that are on track here in this one. Only one DNF. David Weir is your one DNF on the night. Outside lines playing very cautious already before we get to the restart zone. A lot of people with the pit stops. Remember that pit coming to the 1 to go. Going to be amongst those on the bottom, so not too many drivers up top side. We're back on our way, and the Elliott Sauer Esports machine, Joseph Tucker, leads. Clean start this time, but look at this now as the rest of the field tries to get up to speed. The outside trying to find a way to have people force in. Piper thought about forcing it. Instead, stays to the bottom. Some of the drivers trying already, think about trying to peel back a side trap to get the line going, the outside moving regardless. Now it's 3 wide.
Oh no! Oh, they squeeze in and they're going to get away with it initially. Are we going to get away with it fully? It looks like it. The 4-car, Pruitt down on the low side there, gets an unbelievable escape. 3 wide again, immediately, and we've seen it not work in the past. It didn't even work on the backstretch this time, but they tried it anyway. And so nearly a caution in the first lap of this restart.
How that wasn't a caution, I'm not sure. That was a bold move from Richie Yost in the first place on the 3 wide. Pruitt avoided the wall and avoided coming up in traffic. The rest of the field is still making its way through. That split the pack in half, though, Ewan. That's the big thing. Because only the top 14 survived in the main pack. Everybody else from the checkup has lost about a second and a half. They're going to have to work hard to close this gap.
and they're going to have to work together. They can't work like this, side by side, running like they are the leaders. Now, I don't think that gap is actually big enough for it to create a substantial, lasting gap, actually, because the front guys are fighting amongst themselves. You can already see in the background there that actually that second group had split into two as well. But the last group of the three was actually the more organised of all three of them, even though they were last. So they are all going to reconnect again, I feel. And they are just going to calm it down a little bit at the front of this race. I think that three-wide moment pretty much straight away off the restarts almost scared them into behaving a little bit more calmly again.
Oh, that's a little bit of a swerve from Jake Champion. Oh, we have some more people at the back. Jeff Maconi. Obviously, with the damage situation for some of these drivers, Smuntzel's playing the cautious game. Might actually lose the trap from that on the apron. But up front, a lot of swerving. Now, this outside line does not want a side draft. You can fit a lane and a half in between some of these drivers the way they are down the straightaways.
Yeah, and to be fair, I've got no problem with it in the straights where they're running really close to one another. But through the corners, you can't think about what's going on the other line. You've got to run your own line. Make sure you're not going to interfere and make contact. Here we go, three wide again on the straight here. Get as close as you want, doesn't really matter. But in the corners, you've got to give each other a lot of room. That's where a lot of the problems have come so far. Three wide moments and not enough room being given to each side.
Yep, Carter Casey now up there in the second in the line. By the way, a little bit of contact with the wall. Champion elected to get to the top and back out. They're having a little bit of squeezy moments as a result of that one. They make their way through. By the way, the packs have blended together. We are halfway to the race, halfway to go. And here is the interesting thing. Some of the drivers back here, tight, if not just about safe, maybe on fuel, if not going to be a top off at the end. One driver we can confirm will definitely have to pit in the next couple laps if they don't get a caution flag. It's your leader, Charles Fletcher. Remember, he had to pit this race. He's outside on the track, 26 laps into the stints this time. He's going to have to hope for a caution flag and quick if he doesn't want to lose his track position.
Yeah, I really don't understand. He's had plenty of opportunities, it's at least two, since the critical lap has been passed, if you like, and has not decided to take any of them so far, which is very, very puzzling, I've got to say, if he's serious about trying to win, but maybe just wants to run up the front while it's lasting at the moment, because otherwise I can't really think of any tactical justification for actually doing it. I think, to be honest, everybody else is going to be okay because of the cautions that we've seen so far, maybe what we're going to see a little bit later as well. Even those who pitted, quite a long time ago, over 10 laps ago now, I think we'll probably be fine to make it to the end of the race.
Just an announcement over the radio, and Jeff Maconi, I think, has just made what you would call an executive decision. There is a part of tomorrow's format. Here is how things go, again, with the qualification. You end up having top 25 for qualifying, but the top 5 come from an LCQ. That's set for about the 7:15 p.m. start. There's also a promoter's choice provisional when it comes to tomorrow. Jeff Maconi has informed the field that may or may very likely be determined if you win this race and you show up, you are more than likely to get that provisional. As in, you better win this race, you get an entry tomorrow and don't have to panic about qualifying as long as you come in. So quite simply, he's just raised the stakes for the entire field, so the urgency level is going to go up just a little bit.
Yeah, of course, and everyone wants to win every race that they enter anyway, but the stakes just added a little bit. I mean, we saw tonight how useful that could be. Massive field, even trying to qualify for tonight before many of them shipped out for the for not making the cut after the qualifying session. So you can see how useful that would be to have that peace of mind going into tomorrow night, and of course the actual practice of winning this this race that's so fresh in your mind. You don't often get that in this size of a field against this quality of field, this quality of a race. Oh, trouble! Meantime, off of 4.
Here we go again. Caution flag is out. And we have more cars crashing. Hamanar's taken into contact with Sereno. Several drivers still spun in the trial, but many more crashed after the caution flag. That was involving the 57 of Hamanar. And we are under yellow again. So, curious on what happened on the second layer. First layer, pretty straightforward. But that was nearly a blowover there, wasn't it? I believe from Michael Winter.
Oh.
But this part was the bad one.
I'm hoping Sereno didn't use his faster pair in that previous side-to-side contact with the wall he made, because otherwise he's going to be out of contention here, because that was a big hit and a bigger one than the last one. That's the thing with the faster pair, when you only get one of them, you don't quite know when to use it. Do I use it the first time I get any sort of damage, or do I wait for something really big? But it's impossible to know whether you're going to get caught in something here. Just minding his own business, really. Survives the first part of the crash and then gets clipped by somebody else. And pretty hard into the wall there at a sharp angle.
Sure, Mo. Why there was that chaos, to say the least. By the way, we could have had a much earlier yellow. Remember, this is from a few laps ago. Remember Casey Pruitt? This is how close things got to going under caution, because right here, he gets hit down the track through Le Mans and then is able to get on the binders and does not come up.
It's pretty unbelievable that we got away with that, to be honest. It's a good job from everybody to hold that all together on the back straight there, because that could have been a very, very big one indeed if it, spun the other way. Suddenly you're in front of the field, literally everybody, because he's running second here on the low line. See it here, just no sign that it's coming either. I know we can't look to the right particularly from this camera, but Casey wouldn't have been either, I wouldn't imagine. So it would have been a mighty shock as he got slammed there to the right hand side.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, look at that. Trying to go 3 wide there. I mean,
yeah, that wasn't a good
it's ridiculous.
haul.
There's just no space for that at all. Just complete. I mean, again, lucky that and also, by the way, when you are the aggressive driver trying to force it 3 wide like that, you're the one who's almost more likely than anybody else to be caught up in the crash. I can't understand why people do that at all, because that was a gap that barely existed when they weren't side by side. It certainly didn't exist by the time he got there, and very nearly caused his own demise, but there you go.
And so, under 20 laps to work with, and everybody has now officially pit, and just about the entire field should be safe on the fuel tanks. Some of the drivers that have been running in the back, though, get the chance to be elevated a little bit here and play things out. Sadej Amatsto is going to be up at the point here. You see some of our biggest movers, though. You have look up 29. Remember, the last driver in, David Huddle. He's up 25. Yost is still up 24. Then you have Dawson up 21 or so. Carter Casey about 29. Brett Tyson up 18. And, of course, your leader is up about 15 spots is the estimate right now for the Big Bacon Gaming Machine, who will get to control the field for this restart. And it's going to be interesting for some of the different drivers up here, but there are some familiar ones. Argenio is up here. Cheney is very damaged right now and is still running up here. I'm curious how things are going to marinate out for those with the damage, though. That's my big concern here for some of you. And you're talking about some like Rickett that have a destroyed left front.
Yeah, and again, it's always the danger with the faster pair. Look at how many guys have used it here at the front of the field. It's quite a lot. Also, not forgetting, I'd imagine at least somebody who's used it by accident to this point, which is always something that tends to happen. But you don't get it back, and so this is where I'd prefer a race with no faster pairs, to be honest, but one faster pair I think is fine, because it is so limiting at a race like Daytona that we are going to have to start to see a race, I think, soon. Maybe for only for the next 10 laps or so, but certainly on this restart here, where people just have to be a little bit more careful, because for the first half of the race, they're quite carefree, to be honest, and there wasn't much car preservation going on, but almost going to be forced into it now, because it seems to me that more than half the field have used their faster pit, and now as well, even if you do have it remaining, you don't necessarily have the time to regain all those places, come back through the field like they did earlier. So everybody's going to have to be a bit more careful.
Set for the restart here this time. It's about to get interesting here in the closing stages. 18 laps to go. Spot in tomorrow's show. Put the provisional on the line. Pace car is off. Field ready for the restart zone. Looks like they're waiting to the end of it this time. Green flag is out. Back rolling. Now, the inside line already sees Argina move down, just as the leader decides to block both lanes in a major swerve. Doesn't know which way to go yet.
Yeah, I said that more car preservation may be, but there's also going to be a bit more aggression. I'm not sure how those two are going to be married up in the next 20 laps or so, but there is going to be that from the front that we saw a little bit of early on. That's going to return now. Look at the outside line gaining momentum again, though. Doesn't take long to regather itself.
Once again, Fernando Marginio is up on the top side, trying to get to work here. Has only led 5 laps, though, interesting enough, for the Hercules performance machine. Will he be able to find a Herculean effort to be able to win this race? 17 to go still. There's a lot of time to work, and keep in mind, one of the drivers that looks aggressive, right? Tucker thought about 3 wide for a moment. No place for him to go in the back end of the field. He goes to the bottom instead.
That's just where it's getting difficult for those guys who ran up towards the front early on in the race. Still haven't quite regained those places up towards the front in the way that they were earlier for the likes of Tucker and...
Trouble! Crash in the middle of the pack.
Oh,
We're back
wow.
in the yellow as one driver rides the fence and flips. Elliott slams down, Flynn around. That was the 30 of Hutto, who went up into the catch fence.
Goodness me. Properly up on the catch fence there, properly above the wall. Just gets turned again, just gets turned. How many times have we seen that tonight? Careless getting turned there by whoever that was, and then goes for a wild ride. Thankfully, lands on his wheels again, but properly up in the catch fence there.
That is a driver, by the way, that ended up being a competitor that raced a couple of years in what is now the NASCAR Riley Auto Parts Series, up in the fence as he ends up flipping around. The 48-year-old from Rock Hill, South Carolina, gets involved and collected in that incident. He was doing a good job before that incident, too, and that is unfortunate for the one-time winner of the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series up in the fence. With 15 to go, the fast repair is definitely the concern for many, but now it's about, can you survive to the very end?
It is a case of survival, and sometimes it's not really down to you. Let's say there, Hutto there, effectively the one who's turned initially. I mean, nothing you can do when the person behind you just runs into you like that. It's a real shame to see races ended like that, or at least disrupted. It seems that David Hutto is going to be out of the race now with the meatball that he's got, and doesn't seem to have a fast repair remaining. So, it is effectively out because of someone else running him over in towards turn 3, and unfortunately, it looks like that might well happen again in the final 15 laps.
So 2 to green, herd at the line. So it is a longer caution period for drivers to be able to get repairs done. Let me ask you this. Who do you think is going to be in the best position to go forward for the win here at this point? Because you have a lot of different drivers that have led here tonight. Joseph Tucker's led the most. He's up in 6th, has been one of the more aggressive. Who do you think actually gets it done, though? is the question here. It's been a race where, outside of a couple, there have been 4 main contingents. The 27, who's led in the past period, Argenio, who's led in one period, Tucker, who's led much of the way, and Fletcher, who led for a period for 7 laps.
Now look at those movers and shakers, by the way, up and down the field. Just we saw for a moment there. And they're sort of spreading around of the laps led so far. I mean, been a very unpredictable race, but this is exactly what happens at Daytona time and again. It's just about survival from here on in, and I suspect the runs from here on it to the end aren't going to be, really long green flag runs. But when those accidents happen, when those cautions come out, how can you survive and stay out of trouble? Because we've still got 26 cars on the lead lap here. It's still not a small field.
Yes, still plenty of drivers running. 26, in fact, are still in the race. As we get ready for a restart next time by, there is that laps led counter we were just talking about moments ago. As these drivers get set to play things out. So now, what's going to be the move? How do you plan things out? What's it going to take in terms of that move to win this race here, Ewan?
Well, I think well, first of all, we've spoken about it time and again, on these restarts, not getting too far out in front of the field, as bizarre as that sounds. We see so many good jumps from whoever it is leading, and it has been a different driver most times, getting out quite a long way, but that's not actually really a good thing. What this race is going to come down to, I think, is going to be a short green flag run at the end. I don't think this restart will be the last one. And when it is such a short run like that, you absolutely cannot get as far out in front. To be honest, you might not even want to be leading going on to the final restart, whenever that's going to be. Of course, you don't never know when that is going to be. But again, not getting too far out in front. The momentum that the others can build, especially on the outside line, even when it looks like they've had a bad start, they can really build momentum very quickly and overhaul you completely before even turn 3 on the restarted lap. So absolutely got to make sure you don't get out too far in front. And although this is difficult to actually manage, maybe you don't even want to be taking control of the final restart, because there is just so many people who can just come round you.
So we get set to plan things out here. 13 laps to go. It's Sautich up at the front. It's Rickett alongside. Then Casey Argenio. Then it's Tucker and Cheney. Yost and Johnson, Briggs, Howard are your top 10 for the upcoming restart. 27 are on track. Gary Flynn just finished 3 minutes of repairs. He'll try and hope the entire field has an incident and comes back from being about 3-4 laps down to have a shot. I'd like to remind you that again, you can sign up for this event by going to MaconiSubShop.com/Movember. Be sure to sign up, $10 minimum donation benefiting Movember to be able to take part. It's tomorrow at 8 p.m. for the main event. Start LCQ around 7:15 tomorrow. Green flag ready in hand and going. We're back on our way. Again, going on green. And look at that block. This time he stays to the outside. Now moves to the inside to block over. Virginia's one. 27 trying to be the Pied Piper.
These blocks are going to get more aggressive from the front as we go on here. But you could already see on the green flag start there, someone trying to force it through wide already. Also something that's going to be ramped up here. Oh, more trouble on the back straight. And again, another car spinning to the low side. We might get away with it.
Getting a little bit chaotic again. One driver is still spun around, and Johnson, everybody else is still going. Absolute calamity as the race leaders have broken away. As a result, only about 8-9 drivers are in the main pack. Inside line's got the numbers.
They're doing their best to crash into one another, though, even though there's only 9 of them. Really aggressive on the high side there, and aggressive pushing as well through the turns here. I'm not sure who that is second in line up top there, but really aggressively pushing through the middle of 3 and 4 last time round. Calmed it down a little bit through 1 and 2, but these guys got to get organised now. They can't afford to run side by side themselves. They've got to go single file and try and catch up to this lead group.
All sorts of shuffling 3 wide. Cheney going to the front. The second pack closing as much as they can with Briggs leading it. Oh, that's wow. Aiden Howard has found a way to the point. The 55 truck back in front. He had several minutes damage, and he gets cleared out. Caution flag is out. Howard into the track. And yet again, we're under caution.
And yes, got back flag, by the way. Has stopped in the middle of the racetrack. We'll get away with it. But let's try and unpick this restart with the, I mean, again, how many times are we going to watch somebody pushing too hard, causing a caution for them to stop doing it? I mean, I've lost count of how many times that is now. It happens again and again and again. The same accident, but, you know, they don't seem to stop. So I don't know how they, I mean, yeah, just, you've got to be lined up properly and you've got to push these trucks gently, and they're just shoving at the sides and surprised when they're crashing into each other. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Howard says he might be out of the race. He already used the faster pair. That's a good way to get out of the race, but see earlier. Swears up the chaos.
I mean, it's the 8 again.
Yeah, that was Tucker pushing Casey in the heart of the pack.
And again, not lined up on the backstretch. So actually, it's not only happened more than once in this race, happened twice in 2 laps on that restart. I mean, Jesus, I mean, how much more warning do you need? I mean, look at that. That's not even remotely lined up. You're going in a dead straight line. There's no excuse for that. It's just stupid.
Well, people are getting very aggressive for this race lead. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I understand that part of it. Obviously, you know, we're in the last third of the race, quarter now even, and you've got to push hard. As I said earlier, at some stage you have to take a risk to actually win. You know, you can't win risk-free, as we see from the onboard here. But you know, you also can't win stupidly. But, you know, one of these times it's going to catch up with yourself. I mean, pushing sort of not lined up properly is going to get you in trouble, quite apart from anything else. So, you know, I get that it's towards the end of the race, and we're in the last quarter of the race, and it's time to go. And the sort of risk-free utopia I was talking about from earlier on doesn't apply anymore if you want to win. But, you know, you've also got to do this sensibly as well, and I'm afraid that restart wasn't sensible.
Gas reigns supreme, as you see with the replay of Tucker. He is the leader now, by the way, after the incident. Steve right there. He's already pushing hard on the back end of Cheney in the first place. Right in that sequence, pushed themselves into the wall, in fact. They're pushing so hard just to be able to try and get that outside line working. Cheney dealing with viewer damage and front damage on both the front fenders. Still up there. The leaders, by the way, are in turn 4. There's the caution as Tucker had the contact. Ends up having the Chastity Tucker sponsor machine in control. 9 laps to go. And who gets it done? Well, we get to the end cleanly. We have drivers without TV panels up in the front. This is going to end well. We're underway. And look at Tucker. He's trying to get the outside working, but nobody's willing to close up. So many drivers with damage out front that the outside is like a sandbag. The outside now starting to gain something as Rickett tries to work on the bottom. The top, with Cheney having a hard time going with the clean Jeremy Briggs behind.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier about not getting too far out front. Well, Tucker did do that. Again, it's not really under your control when you're the leader, but you've got to make sure that it doesn't happen. Otherwise, you will get crept up on very, very quickly. And thankfully for him, he just closed off the options in terms of taking the lead away from him, did Tucker. But now he's got 3 lines to protect. Trouble in the back again.
Yet again, the chaos strikes. Yet again, the caution strikes. Back of the yellow, that's Taylor this time, who goes around to the 43. And again, it puts us back under the yellow. Let's see what happened here.
It's a bit further back.
Yeah, Dawson not happy on the radio. Let's see what happened. Well, what was that?
Why? What? I'm not entirely sure why anybody would go from the top of 3 wide and expect there just to be nobody on the inside like that, but anyway, I know they're near the back, so that's I suppose one thing, but I'm not sure what's going on there.
That was an interesting run from top to bottom, and he has officially exited the race. So we definitely need to go green there, but we will get going with about 5 or 6 laps to go. Got to be interesting to see now if Tucker holds on, as here's the look for the iRacing pace car. The darkness engulfing the racetrack. We're almost at midnight in session, by the way. That's how dark it is.
I suppose shows you how late Jeff Maconi thought this race was going to run in reality as well. I don't think he was expecting it to go past midnight in sim, but there you go. It has done. Thankfully, we've obviously got the lights on full power, and we'll race into the darkness just fine. But yes, it's very dark around, and this is the traditional NASCAR Truck Series racing at Daytona, isn't it? Normally racing under the lights, and so it's fitting really, no matter what the time of the year we're racing this. It just makes sense to do this under the lights. Looks like we might be having a single file restart, by the way, unless I'm wrong.
Oh, that's good.
Well, some of them are.
I have 54 minutes to go in session. So we're going to see what happens here. We're coming to 6 laps to go. These drivers look to set themselves up. Let's go through your top 6 or 7. Tucker and Sondage up at the front. It's Cheney and Sommer, followed by Ricken and Yost, Casey and Argenio, Pruitt and Tyson. Those are the top 10 for the restart this time through. We get ready, see how things go with a lot of damaged drivers still up front. But some of the others who have not even had the chance to lead yet, Ewan, have a chance to maybe win this race if they play their cards right.
And they are, going to have to be smart on this restart. 6 to go. As I said, this race is going to be settled by short green flag runs. Even if we go from here to the end, it's going to be a short run. So have to be very smart, even in the early part of this run, because it's not going to be long to the finish.
Here we go, restart time. Outside line's not lined up. They went earlier. Green flag back out. 6 to go. And Tucker, he gets himself a bit of a run, trying to block off the outside. Now trying to play things out to the inside yet again. Back and forth on the lines as they try and build up momentum. More than 170 miles an hour already.
Yeah, and Tucker this time round, he did stay closer to the inside, but they just didn't give him the help. That's why I mentioned when you're the leader, you don't always have much control over your destiny. If you don't get the help from behind, you're not going to keep the lead, and Tucker hasn't kept the lead. Now buried in the pack again.
Able to get sorted out. All that's well. one of the drivers that actually was a broadcaster a few years ago for the eNASCAR Road to Pro ladder. Now up in the front of the field, only 5 laps to work with. Richie Yost now works his way up high side. The outside's not getting enough momentum yet.
Oh!
Sees the move to the bottom, and that was near contact.
Yost was really close to Tucker there, and Argenio as well, a little bit loose, hits the apron, so goes all over the place as well. This is the sort of remnants of the outside, and Tucker goes to the outside instead. The others fill the hole. Tucker's going backwards.
Tucker doesn't have any help, did not make too many friends as of late. He drops back like a rolling stone. Oh, that's well, with 4 to go. Sausage leading the inside line. The middle line still yet to build anything. It is Summer who is up in second. Summer trying to find a way to get in front for the first time tonight. Has an uber aggressive 47 truck and sim behind him. And he
he's got turned! He's got turned, Sommer. Oh, wow, and he's down to the apron. He's not going to affect anybody else. Unbelievable. He was pushing Sotek, by the way, absolutely excellently. He was really close through the corners, perhaps too close for some people's taste, but he was just doing the right things to avoid an accident, whereas now it might have set off a chain reaction that causes one further behind. Tucker leads again.
Absolute calamity, and we have an Aaron Turner. Carter Casey goes around into the grass. Still 3 laps to go as Casey slides to the infield. Jeremy Briggs, who's been riding mid-pack all night, he's now into the hunt. The longtime racer in these events, he gets bumped into the leader. He's pushed up 4 wide. 4 wide down the back as they wreck.
Yeah, it was going to happen. It started that chain reaction, didn't it? Right the way from Sommer, who was, and now they properly wreck on the backstretch. The top 8 or so left at the front, but look at this. All the cars all over the road, and it's left a very, very small group at the front.
Full caution. Caution flag is out. Let's start with the caution. Lucky that was the caution there, but from here it was hold on.
I mean, yeah, they didn't stand a chance after. It's that initial moment, although it doesn't actually cause the crash. It causes the crash, if you see what I mean. It's a chain reaction that I don't think any of them would have been able to survive there. I'd like to see it from the start again. I have a bit more, although I've been shouting at them, I do feel a little bit more sympathy there. Just kind of feel that was always going to happen when they were nearly 3 wide off of turn 2. And then again, it's just about can you survive? Can you stay out of trouble? And I think only the top 10 or so can say yes to that definitively.
Meanwhile, chaos started early from here, too. Could see it coming with Yost. Triple truck tandem actually to the back bumper of the leader.
And it's a difficult one, that, because to be fair, Sommer's not down on the double yellow line, but equally the guys who are also on the low line there are never going to get past him. There's never a gap there. So you can very much point the blame there, but this is what starts it all off, really. I think not least because Sommer was doing such a good job at pushing. He was actually making the inside line pretty invincible almost on the inside line there. And, you know, him being removed completely removed the stability of the front. I mean, look at the names who are now on the inside line who are at the front. Completely different because of that spin there.
Yep, and then from here,
33 again.
Yeah, 29 Casey sent hard to the infield. Did believe he kept that on pit road at least. That's the bright side. Yeah, just missed the commitment cone. He's lucky.
But unfortunately, same driver getting involved again on the. I'm not actually sure that's a real number. I can't find a 33 in our field, so I don't actually know what their real number is. But anyway, trying to find a gap again that wasn't there, and another occasion where we've seen that tonight, unfortunately.
this point, we're in green-white checker territory. Here's an error incident. Something happened to the back we're hearing, possibly. Let's see what may happen. This is coming up to the caution incident. And right here you see how everybody in the back tries to scramble, and yeah, some of the drivers just overlap. Taylor gets into the 55 for an error incident as others take the road course.
Yeah, and you know, generally what happens is when you do see that going on in front, you're so focused on the cars that are already crashing that you actually forget about the ones that are already around you, and so you end up crashing into each other sometimes, and that can for two more cars finding themselves in the wall because of that. But that was a more encouraging green flag run, I think. You know, maybe it lasted a lap longer than it should have done, but this, I think, should only require one attempt, if that is anything to go by, that previous restart. First of all, there's less drivers in the race now. Second of all, I think some of them are quite scarred by what's gone on so far, that they're almost going to be shocked into behaving here for the final two laps. At least I hope so. I hope that we can at least get a two-lap run to the end.
So we get ready for the restart. 3 green-white checkers if necessary. If we get to the white flag, it's a race to the checkered. If we get a caution for the white flag, well, we rack them and stack them, do it again. If we get to the third attempt and we still can't get to the white flag, then it ends under yellow. We've seen a lot of carnage on white flag laps in these types of races. Will it happen again here is the huge question, especially with so many hungry drivers looking to try and get that promoter's provisional locked up for tomorrow. There's still a lot that can happen. So at this point, there's so many drivers that have built up some reputations, let's say, here tonight, and who do you think gets it done, though, just based on the skill set?
It's obviously impossible to predict. I'll go with Jeff Maconi, why not? We've not seen him for ages, and I think that might be a good thing. The fact he's not actually being towards the front. Yes, he is on the outside line. He's buried right in the pack there in row 3, but I actually think the guys who are restarting right from the front, as I said earlier, are actually at a bit of a disadvantage. Now, Casey Sutek, to be fair, has done a very good job in these last couple of restarts to actually stay up front, and I think has led the last 2 restarts, soon to be 3, to the green on the inside, but doesn't have Sommer pushing anymore, which I think could be a problem. And yeah, somebody from behind may well sneak through. 2 laps is more than long enough for them to do that.
Yeah, keep in mind, Maconi's already got some drivers saying we're going to the front, so we'll see if friendship works or something else works. All this as well. We're ready for the restart again, a recruitment race for Saturday for the boys. Let's get ready to rumble. Pace car is off. So it's up in front, ready to control the field over Tucker. We're back underway. 2 laps to go from Daytona. Junior changed lanes around the start and finish line. Look at that swerve, though. The outside gets working. The outside moving really well. Now Tucker moves to the bottom. Eugenio holds on top as he gets up from Maconi.
Yeah, Tucker's going to be blocked by Sutek all the way. I think Sutek's actually going to block both lines. Here he comes again. As Eugenio leads the outside line, I think, to the lead. He pushed very nicely indeed on the outside line, but Tucker also giving a good push here. A good race between the 2 lines at the moment down the back straight.
Side by side as they try and get the momentum built up. 27 holds on in front. Tucker has a chance to move up if he wants it. He will take it. White flag up in the stand. 1 lap to go this time through for the recruitment race. As they have contact for the lead. Tucker holds on to it. A push up for the middle line as Casey gets bumped around. Here comes Eugenio to the inside, streaking to the lead.
And surprisingly, Tucker left the inside line open, very surprisingly there. And now it's up to Sutek to actually push, but watch the outside come here on the backstretch. The inside disorganized. Tucker's going to lead this race.
1 driver gets turned around. More drivers get connection
Oh.
issues. They get stacked up at the bottom. Around goes several of the drivers, including Pruitt. It's now Maconi, 1v1 versus Tucker. Who wants it more? Does Maconi flare out? No, he doesn't go for the move yet. Now he tries it late. Is it too late? It is. It's Joseph Tucker who gets the win.
He tried it too late. He said it at the time. Tried it just too late. He had the momentum there. Coming off of turn 4, you've got to use the slope off of the final turn and get along. You've got to really be alongside by the tri-oval. Jeff was only just pulling alongside when they reached the tri-oval itself, and that was too little too late.
How about that finish? Thought Argentina was in a great spot with this run, but they just started stacking up big time on the outside, didn't they, afterwards? Just pure calamity right about here as some people got turned and Argenio's tech issues really stacked up the inside.
Yeah, and, a number of drivers just trying to force 3 wide down the middle. You can understand it on the final lap, trying to get to the front, but unfortunate that some guys taken out down the back. And just see where he should have pulled out here. Tucker's not quite on the low side. Could have even tried to duck down low, and he did think about it. I think thought for too long about which side am I going to go to. In the end, he was gaining momentum there, although he didn't quite have the run that I thought, actually. He was gaining momentum all the way to the line, but didn't have enough space. Maybe at Talladega, there would have been enough room for him to do that, Jeff, but just waited a little bit too long there, and Tucker was able to hold on by about half a length in the end.
Late move, but in the end, now it's our esports entry. Joseph Tucker gets the win in the recruitment race. It's a prep for tomorrow. He's going to be one of the contenders tomorrow, and you'd have to think, especially with the speed showcase so far in this event. Now, we got the chance to celebrate a race victory. Didn't make too many friends tonight, but he gets the most important friend, the checkered flag that you get to celebrate with in Victory Lane.
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So fair play for that. Fair play for that run to the end of the race as well, because those green white checkers are never too easy by any means. Always exciting to watch, always difficult to get to the end of, but yeah, if you get to the front by the end of one of those green white checkers, you know that you've done a good job.
So burnout time for Tucker. Gets to celebrate. Let's take a look at your unofficial race results. Again, based on the discussions coming forward from Maconi at the halfway point, Tucker in line for the provisional. He has officially confirmed it's going to be the provisional for Joseph Tucker to have as long as he makes it tomorrow for the main event. As in, he's in the main event. He just has to be there tomorrow. Jeff Maconi and Aiden Howard, though, are amongst your top 3. Then it is Benjamin Elliott in 4th, Dorney in 5th. Saudage in the 6th spot, Tyson, Casey, Bone, and Winter, your top 10.
11th place for Gary Flynn, just inside a second of the win. Sebastian Taylor also in the front group with Brock Piper and Billy Rickett. Jacob Dawson just fell off the back of the group in the end, and others who were caught up in stuff on the last lap there include Dan Label, Tyler Cheney, Jeremy Briggs, Brendan Argenio, who run up the front for quite a lot, and Cosi Pruitt as well, who was down towards the back.
21st goes to Summer, then Fletcher, Yost, many laps down with Taylor, Barrett, along with Tripp, Johnson, Hutto, along with Hallinar, and Champion in the top 30. A couple other drivers got the chance to make the race here tonight, as mentioned. After the qualifications, only 2 of them actually made the green flag who were a part of the cutoff. Those were Sereno and Weir. So that's a look top to bottom at your race results tonight for the recruitment race for Saturday for the boys for 2025. We have our top 3 available. Joseph Tucker starts things off here tonight. Joseph, you get the job done here tonight. You get yourself the win, and in turn, the promoter's provisional locked in tomorrow, very much so. So how do you feel about this one? Able to survive for the win?
I don't know, honestly. I made a dumb block coming into one, and I thought I was done after that because I thought I had no one to help. But me and Jeff are good friends, and he just sticked with me. And I was thinking he would try to make a move off of 4, but he didn't. But yeah, this is great. I think I led 12 laps of the night. I don't know, but killed some people. Didn't make a ton of friends. Even killed my friend at one point, and I don't know. I just got to get better at the pushing.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you feel about the friendships that were kind of tested a little bit? You did get involved in bits of contact there that did pop up at times tonight.
Yeah, just tried to drive this thing like an X-Gen, and it's a completely different car. I can't 3-car tandem. I can't push as hard as I can or used to in this truck. So I was just used to the old model where I could just shove them as hard as I can and just blow up when the truck feels like it, and didn't expect people to get lifted off the ground due to the pushes. But overall, great night. Sucks that Tyler had damage. The 54 was strong. But we'll try to do it again tomorrow.
All right. On that note here, just on that approach, you mentioned what can change things up on the driving style. Basically, what do you think it's going to take when we add that pressure tomorrow? Of course, all this for a good cause, too.
I think we'll just take patience. This is very track position demanding, but surviving to the end will help. You don't need to be up front the entire race. It's just going to kill you. Tomorrow we'll possibly have a pit stop. You just got to get pit road down. So.
Any shows you'd like to give here tonight?
I don't even know what you said. My bad. I zoned out.
Is there anything you would like to say that I'd ask about, or any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Maconi Entertainment, you guys are great. Elliot Sailor Esports, Chassis Cooker, Realtor, Racecraft Mission 22, Celsius Energy, my mom and dad. Just happy to be part of this.
Absolutely. Congratulations on the win here tonight.
Thank you.
Joseph Tucker, happy driver here tonight, but as he said, a lot to run differently compared to a next gen. This is not a next gen on the drive model. Jeff Maconi got second. He's with Ewan.
Jeff, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Tell us about that run to the end there. Started 6th, so close to victory. Tell us how where it was won or lost there for you.
Yeah, that was tough for sure. I knew the outside line would have momentum, so I just stayed up there. I didn't care who jumped up, whatever. And then I was gonna make my move going into 3, or like going into 4, somewhere in there, on the last corner, and just take whoever it was 3 wide or push them clear, and then keep the outside. And then we broke away. And it was just enough of a breakaway that if I had pulled out any earlier, then they would have caught us. And so I had to wait as long as I could, and I just waited a little too long. If it were Talladega, I would have won it. Or if I had made the move any earlier, though, I think they would have caught us, and then someone else would have won it. So I've raced with Michael before. I love running with him. It's really fun. He did a good job at the end. He also knew that the high line was the place to be. So, yeah, I think some other people were a little upset with him. I have no clue about any of that, but he didn't cause the last wreck. He was in front of it, and he's lucky that I made a dumb mistake and didn't jump out of line sooner, but it's going to be fun tomorrow. So he's locked into that race now. We're going to have a full field. I'm really, really looking forward to tomorrow's race.
Yeah, it's going to be great fun tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it as well. I mean, how do you think the longer race is going to affect things? Because tonight was a bit stop and start at times. What are you expecting compared to tonight from tomorrow's race?
Well, what'll be nice tomorrow is it's a more condensed field in that it's signups. It's not just a random hosted like this one tonight was. And I feel like with the longer race, people will be a lot more patient. They have one faster pair, but you don't want to use it early. So I imagine the first 70 laps, we probably won't have more than 2 cautions to 3 cautions. And hopefully they're just small ones. And then towards the end, we'll probably have 2 or 3 more. It always gets crazy to the end. And from my memory, this is usually a green, white, checkered finish for the race. But I've won it twice of the 5 years that we've run it. I'm very, very happy with that. I believe there will be at least one other previous winner in the race, and it's going to be a strong field. We've got a lot of people signed up. I'm really, really excited for it. There is still slots available. If you go to MaconiSetupShop.com/Movember, you can sign up. And Movember is a great group for anyone watching that hasn't heard of them. Be sure to check them out. They are amazing people. And I hope they will join us. We've now crossed, I believe, the $8,000 raised mark for the 5 years that we've been running this event, which blows my mind. I mean, that is just absolutely incredible. And we still have a full 24 hours to go before tomorrow's race. So if you want to sign up and join us, please do so. We would love to have you. And tomorrow's race is going to really be a tough one to win. So we'll see who comes out with it.
Yeah, certainly is. Jeff, thanks for chatting to us as always, and congrats on finishing in second place tonight.
Thank you, guys, and great show as always.
Thanks very much. That's Jeff Maconi, second place tonight, here just in behind Joseph Tucker.
We also have your third place finisher, Aiden Howard. And Aiden, you got bounced around a fair bit once again here tonight, but you survived. How are you feeling about how you propelled yourself to a top 5 tonight, or top 3 at least tonight?
Honestly, I'm shocked as much as you are. I had a total of 33 exits this race, and I was like, since that first pit stall, I got in majority of every wreck, and I don't know. I guess I had the gods with me in this top 3, but it just all I gotta say is I'm sorry for the 4 on that last lap. Entering turn 3, I kind of hooked them there, and I'm extremely sorry for it.
So I'll ask this in terms of your approach then. Will you be racing, first of all, tomorrow? And second, what would the approach be for the main race if you are racing then?
I might be racing tomorrow. Honestly, it depends on the schedule for my tomorrow day. And if I do end up racing, my approach towards it will probably be less aggressive in the beginning, and try to stay in the back and stay out of the wrecks as much as possible.
So on that note, anyone you want to give a shout out to here tonight?
I want to give a shout out to the winner of this race, Joseph Tucker. Been a buddy of mine for a little bit, and some of my friends I was hanging out in BC, Heath Rutherford and Landon Gentry. I want to thank them too.
Congratulations on the run here tonight.
Thank you.
Aiden Howard, take the time to speak with us as well. I'd like to thank Top 3 for speaking to us during post-race coverage here on Maconi Entertainment. Your final thoughts tonight, as tomorrow night, we do the main thing. We do the big show, where it's going to be 36 drivers taking part and having a chance to be able to race for the win, and with much higher stakes for the race itself, all for a good cause.
Yeah, I think tomorrow's race could be a little bit sort of a calmer start, at least hoping so, because that longer race, that longer distance to the end just puts everybody at ease that they're not really falling behind when they take the early stages calmly. When they see this race, they start and there's less than 50 laps to go already. You already think you've got to be up the front. But tomorrow's race is going to be a lot more tactical. Pit stops are going to have to be thought about a little bit more clearly. We didn't really have to talk about them at all tonight, apart from the faster pairs. So, yeah, it's going to be a much different race, and I hope a much cleaner race as well, because at times it wasn't so clean here tonight, sadly, but I'm sure tomorrow will be.
It's going to be a fun time. Remember, that's going to be tomorrow. 8 p.m. for the main event start. 7:15 is when qualifications officially begin for the LCQ portion of the race. So be early and be ready to sign up if you watch along for tonight. Be sure to go to MaconiSetupShop.com/Movember and then submit at least a $10 donation to Movember, directly to Movember specifically, and then you'll get your entry. $500 in prizes, again, are on the line. Like, thank you for tuning in for tonight's action, as well as the Maconi Setup Shop for putting on this racing action. Covering the action tonight was myself, Justin Prince, alongside Ewan O'Leary. Howie Burrows was our producer this evening. Thanks to our viewers for watching tonight's racing action. Hope you stay tuned to our social media pages for our next race. Thanks to the entire staff for their work and bring this racing to you. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment. We'll see you next time.